Hi, my name is Leslie Ann Condon, and I'm one of the artists participating in Thank You, No Thank You through the Asian Arts Initiative. I created for all of the many victories specifically in response to the call for artists through Laos in the House. And I was really thinking about my own family story. My parents both fled Laos after the Vietnam War, and they came to the States looking for a better life, like all immigrants do. But the wounds and the trauma of that war stayed with them and manifested in very toxic and dysfunctional ways. And this is true for all immigrant families that flee war. Just because we're in new places doesn't mean we're wholly healed from those experiences or that crises. And I think that sometimes that concept is lost on a lot of Americans because we haven't had conflict in American soil for decades, and so sometimes it feels more like a video game or a sports game that you're watching from afar, but in actuality it's impacting people's lives directly and can really impact them on an intergenerational level where trauma just keeps on echoing throughout for decades. My family was so impacted by the trauma that I was actually placed into foster care around 3.5 years old, and then as a young adult I came upon my adoption paperwork, including this name tag that had my full name written out on it, including my biological surname, and it was the first time I had seen my name in print. And so this name tag became this sort of key to myself, this secret part of myself, the more Asian part of myself. And I ended up making copies of the name tag and creating a work from it about 10 years ago. So when I saw this call for artists, I knew I wanted to return to this material, but think about the piece through the lens of a child of immigrants who had fled war and was still kind of experiencing the trauma of that war. When putting the visual elements of this work together, I was thinking about how to signify concepts such as competition and victory. So I was thinking of trophies and ribbons and medals, and of course the name tag's already in that circular shape, so it only made sense to go in that direction. And I was also thinking about how everyone from children to Olympians win medals, and then my mind went to military ribbons and medals, which adhere to a very specific aesthetic structure, which I think is highly impactful. So I began playing with some of those materials with the understanding that they already carried their own deep meaning within society. Like the first piece in this series, there's direct reference to self-erasure. The first piece was talking more about my personal struggle with this, and then the second piece was talking more broadly about immigrant communities and communities of color who are constantly pressured to conform to white normative American behavior. And then the different stereotypes and stigmas that we're subject to really can distort our sense of self and identity. By creating this work, I wanted to draw attention to the ways that trauma can shape our personality and identity, often in invisible ways, but by acknowledging these wounds, we can begin to heal ourselves, both on an individual and community level. I'm so grateful to be participating in this show with other Asian Americans. The experience has brought me closer to my Lao heritage and has also inspired the next work for this series, which I'm working on now. And I'm just so grateful and excited to be making work that is so personal, but also is talking more broadly about the immigrant experience. So thank you again for including me in this show with all the other artists. Thank you.